You know, when Wen Yifan said that she used to also play the game that Sangyan plays in the past, I thought she was talking about them playing it together. But I never would have guessed that it was actually Wen Yifan who was originally playing it and Sangyan just joined because of her. Hello and welcome to Talk About Drama, where we talk about what's hot and what's not in the drama world. And today we're going to talk about the first roast again. And specifically, we're going to talk about Wen Yifan's Sangyan chasing era to Wen Yifan and Sangyan's first confession and the start of the romance, essentially, because it's so cute. There's no other way to describe it. Like, I think it's the perfect thing in the way that they got together, in the way they finally made up, and the way they've been so awkward with each other, even though they've been sharing an apartment space for a couple of months now. So let's get started. I think I've talked about this before as well. One of the few things I really appreciate about First Frost is the way they show us background of the story in the beginning and the end of the episode. Because those intercuts between an episode sometimes takes me out of the story because I'm watching the characters in real time, what they're doing right now. And when they cut back to what they were doing in a couple of years before, it sometimes takes me out. But over here, you start the story with Wen Yifan and Sangyan as high school kids. And then the story moves forward to 3,000 days later, 3,400 days later, to like the present day, essentially. And that's so good because you get to see the difference between how they were as high school students, especially Sangyan, because he wasn't this reserved or laid back or even controlled. He literally, just to get her attention, stood up on the top of the stairs and shouted Wen Shuangzhang in front of everybody. They were all just exiting school and this guy stood up on top of the stairs and just shouted at him just to get her attention. And this isn't the Sangyan that we know right now. Because again, he's grown up. It's been a couple of years. He was affected by what Wen Yifan told him when they broke up the first time. And those words have essentially shaped up his character. He doesn't try to be too clingy. He doesn't try to be too outgoing with her because the reason why she broke up, again, was that she was burdened by his constant overbearing attitude to her, so like constantly getting into her life. And that really affected him. You can see that. So he really pulled back, even though he's still quite nosy when it comes to Wen Yifan, but he's really pulling himself back and trying not to make it too obvious. And also there's this pride that, you know, she broke up with me the first time. I don't want to do it again. But then the pride comes in between, you know, I am this person and, you know, you need to chase me rather than me chasing you because I've already done that. But we all know if Wen Yifan, when they gives up Sangyan, would definitely 100% go after her. But that's something for a what if situation because we know Wen Yifan ain't giving up. And this also helps us give us more insight into how they were after they broke up, essentially. Because we, up until episode 16, 17, we only saw Sangyan and Wen Yifan as together. And then, you know, Wen Yifan gave him the brutal, I'm going to yee her for somebody else and don't follow me. I find your actions quite burdensome and just cut contact with him completely. But then we also see Sangyan's side of the story because he never really let go. But he also didn't make it obvious to Wen Yifan because, again, the point wasn't to make her feel burdened. The point was to watch over her and essentially make sure that she's doing okay because he couldn't let go. And if you ask me, genuinely, I think Sangyan was just pretending to play with his basketball on top of the stairs because he knew Wen Yifan would approach him. Like, that was really deliberate from the looks of it. I really hope that's the case, but that's for future episodes. Anyways, back to the present. But yeah, Sangyan having tons of tickets to Yiha, practically hounding Duan Jiashu for information about his hometown, and literally everything in his life being dictated by Wen Yifan was quite sweet, but also sad to watch. Here's this guy who's literally molded his life on this one girl. And the more she finds out about it, the sadder that she gets because in her mind, Sangyan was liberated from her from her problems, from her shadow. But then the more she finds out about how Sangyeon spent those years apart from her, not really giving up on her, the sadder that she gets and the sadder we get actually, because it is heartbreaking. And it really brings out the fact of the opening scene when Wen Yifan is on the train and she's seeing that young girl and imagining herself as somebody who is happy in her life, who's doing what she really wanted to. And that's probably the kind of life that she imagined with Sangyeon for herself, because, that one boy is a support system for her to last for a lifetime. That one boy can support her and just be there for her, and she'd be happy because she just needed one person on her side. And since it couldn't be her mother, it couldn't be her mother's family, her father's family. But what makes it even sadder is we see Sangyeon imagine a future with Wen Yifan when they're sitting in the restaurant when they used to meet in Beirut and hearing to her talk, and he's imagining, what if they both ran the restaurant in the future? What if she cooks, he serves, and he's trying to make her dreams come true? And that version of himself just being with her matches with Wen Yifan's version of herself when she's free from all the burdens that she's carrying, when she's doing what she wants to. And in Sangyeon's dream, Wen Yifan is doing what she wants to. And that is one of the reasons why he even founded his bar over time with his friends. Because, he's working as a game developer or something like that in another company. So that's sort of his side business. But to understand that, so actually let's go back. So Sangyeon in uni overheard Wen Yifan's friend saying that she was playing a game and that was her in-game ID. So he joined the same server on the game, made an ID that is sort of matching with her, and he invited her to play, but because his level was too low, he couldn't be there for her as a mentor. So he played day and night to level up, and then finally he became her mentor in the game. So Wen Yifan was already playing a game. Sangyeon played it to the point where he mastered it, and then he effectively taught her how to play it, and then essentially became her in-game friend. Because we see Wen Yifan skip out on a group dinner with her friends. Well, it was more of a group speed dating thing. And, she's texting Sangyeon on the games. So she doesn't know it's Sangyeon, but she's texting Sangyeon on the game. And then, years later, we see Sangyeon own the bar where Wen Yifan goes with her friend. And then, Sangyeon gets a job in a game company. So the only reason why I even got into it, because he was a computer engineering major, and Don Jashu obviously went into a different line. So he started playing a game because Wen Yifan was playing it, and then he owned a restaurant, more of a bar, because it was Wen Yifan's dream to provide a safe haven for people who were working overtime. And then he got a job in the game development industry because Wen Yifan used to play this game. And he got addicted to it essentially because he's playing it now 24/7. And if that's not the definition of dedicating your life to one person, I don't know what is. So I think it's more of a Sangyeon and his first frost, his first love. Essentially the one person in the world that he loves and he really wants to be with, because from the beginning to the end, we have Sangyeon falling for one person and essentially chasing after her. But on the other hand, it's actually good to watch. And it doesn't go to a point where he neglects his family for her. He's still there for his sister. He still visits his parents on holidays. He's still there for his own family. It's just his thoughts get overtaken by Wen Yifan, but he's not neglecting his family, which I really like, because usually you have brothers and, CEOs essentially just overbearing towards the female lead and completely neglecting their family in the name of tough love, which is not Sangyeon, because in Hidden Love we see that he's actually quite protective of his sister. And he does spend a healthy amount of time with her bickering as well, because that's what siblings do. And he also makes good use of his sister for luring in Wen Yifan, so... That was actually quite funny to watch. But my main point is he's a nice guy. He comes from a good family, well settled, decently rich, and extremely good looking. So he has options. Like his mom sets him up on blind dates at one point, but in Sangyeon's mind there's only one direction to go to, and that's Wen Yifan. That, again, you can say it's a bit out of the world. It's a bit imaginative, but I really love that about Sangyeon, because he took one look at this girl and said, I'm going to marry her. I'm going to be with her. He imagined a whole future with her and never complained. He was always there for her. He was grateful that he was there in her moments of happiness, sadness, and joy. I remember watching the episode, and the day her father died, he was glad that he was there for her. And he was glad that he was there for her when she had major milestones in her life, like auditioning for the ballet school class. He was trying to help her find a place to rehearse when she got kicked out of the gym, because the slots were overtaken by other people and she didn't have the money. And I think at one point Wen Yifan was so dependent on him being the first person in life, that when her colleague Su Tian had a child, the first person that Wen Yifan essentially texted was Sangyan. My colleague had a child, it's a girl. That's what you do with family. That's what you do with your other half. You tell them everything. You text them when you're happy, you text them when you're sad. And that is when Wen Yifan essentially realizes that Sangyan is someone that I want as a permanent fixture in my life. And I'm going to be very honest with you. Wen Yifan, Sangyan chasing Era was one of my favorite things of the show, because she understands that she's hurt this man really badly. She understands that she herself is not really good at expressing her emotions. She's not very good at being open, being in love, being affectionate. But towards Sangyan, she has this natural affinity. She is not cautious around him. And she's quite open. She really likes being with him and she wants to be with him. And she actually regrets breaking up with him at that point of time, because, again, she was in a bad place and shit just happened one after the other. And in her mind, the imposter syndrome set in then, and she just let it go. So this is the moment where she realizes that this man really loved me and probably still loves me. And this is my chance to make an effort to actually chase him. And watching Wen Yifan Google how to chase a man that you've offended before, go to forums and post it, and just try to clumsily chase him when he's being bold and be like, oh, what do you say about this? And she's like, next time, I promise you next time. And she just runs away. So that whole sequence of essentially the carrot and the stick, where Wen Yifan is the carrot and Sangyan's flailing around the stick, because he knows what she's doing and he wants her to be proactive in her chasing so they can get together faster. And at one point when Wen Yifan sleepwalks into Sangyan's room and he's not there, he tells her, can you please be more explicit in chasing me, and can you please do it quicker, because I really want to be with you. Not to mention Sangyan bragging to literally everyone in his talking videos about how he's being chased by this girl and he's waiting to be pursued and get into a relationship, where he literally cancels appointments with his friends because there's somebody at home who's trying to chase me and I don't want to miss that. That was really funny. But what really stuck around with me was their firsts, especially the first birthdays that they both had. So Wen Yifan's birthday was the day when Su Tian gave birth, and she came home really tired, and Sangyan was all nonchalant. There's a package in the fridge, can you get it for me? And it's a birthday cake, and he gave her the smiley potions to eat. And you realise this is probably the first birthday cake that Wen Yifan has had since her father died. And birthdays were probably a really bad time for her, because they would have made her feel even more alone, since she has no support system, nobody to go to, nobody to celebrate with. And it's also sad because we see Wen Yifan's birthday when she's in Yihe and Sangyan is in Nanwu University, and he's just devastated. And then we see Sangyan put his pride down, put his self-esteem down, and give Wen Yifan a call just to wish her happy birthday. But when he realises that the call doesn't go through, he's sad, he's mad at himself, but he misses her, and he misses the time that they had together. And it goes to a point where he literally turns his phone off and puts it in a box with all the tickets to Beirut, because he wants to preserve the memories. He doesn't want their connection to be lost, all the back and forth that they had, all the tickets that he's purchased by going to Beirut to see Wen Yifan, essentially, because that's his past, his history with her, and he's cherishing it. But then there's no way that, he has a connection with her anymore. And then he looks into the direction of Yihe, where Don Joshua pointed out, that's where Yihe University, that's where Yihe is, essentially. And just wishing her a happy birthday. It's probably one of the most devastating things in the show, right up there with the night that, Wen Yifan told him she's no longer going to Nanwu University, and him just breaking down in his room, completely soaked to the bone, because everyone, especially his mum, has mentioned how he had literally no interest in studies. But then a couple of months before the national entrance exam, he was studying like a man possessed, and he got really good grades, and he went to his first choice of university because he wanted to go there together with her. But then when she no longer was there with him, he still had to go through. And Wen Yifan is probably the reason why Don Joshua is Sangyeon's best friend, because he must have hit him up so many times to talk about Iha, about how that place is, what's good about that place, why do people choose that place. And Wonjashu, well, finding all of those things unnecessary, would have probably just humoured him. And that sort of led to them building a rapport. And that eventually translated into friendship that led to them being in-laws. So Sangji really should thank Wen Yifan for choosing Yiha, because that's actually one of the reasons why Sangyan and Wonjashu became such good friends. And when I tell you that silly man had her present and he was trying to hide it all over the house. Who hides a present in a washing machine? Who hides a present in a dishwasher? And where did he eventually hide a present? On the highest shelf. I was half expecting him to put it down for her and give it to her, but then he just walked away and she had to literally go on her tippy toes to get her present down from the top shelf. Of course, it's a personalised first perfume because it's Wen Yifan's birthday. First birthday that she's celebrating with him. Of course, he wants her to give something to remember him by. And what is it? Literally a scent created and named after her. And then, of course, we see them go a step further in the courtship where Wen Yifan asks him out, to make up for one of the meals that, she owes him. And Sangyeon literally comes back to the house just to pick her up. And then they go to a restaurant where, coincidentally, Sangyeon's other teammates from his company are also having a dinner. So Wen Yifan joins them and, we find out that Wen Yifan's stepsister is actually working with Sangyeon. And, Sangyeon is there the entire way to clarify. Her surname's Wen. And he literally hands over the menu to her and be like, choose whatever you want. Giving her priority in front of everybody. Making her feel like she's a part of a group, but she's also her own individual adult. Because Wen Yifan is usually not used to creating a fuss over things. If someone's just giving her a drink, we order an extra, just give it to her. Okay, I'll take it. There's food on the table. What do you want now? I'll just eat that. Because her whole life, especially after her father died, with her aunt's family, with her own mum's family, she's probably used to not being the first choice, not even being the second or the third choice, really. And that sort of seeps into her bones and makes her feel like it's okay as long as I get something to drink and eat, not to make a fuss about these things. But Sangyeon is there to make sure that she has her choices. She has a voice in the group. You do what you want to do. Don't care about anybody else. If there's an extra drink, we will send it back. But you better have what you want to drink and to eat. Your surname's Wen, and everyone better know about it. And then they have the pictures where in every angle, Sangyeon is just looking at Wen Yifan. That's all he sees. And that gaze. And then, their second major event is Sangyeon's birthday, which is on the 2nd of January. And it's quite funny because, on her birthday, Wen Yifan was like, I'll do something for your birthday as well. So Sangyeon's like, there's 69 days to it. And Wen Yifan asked him to remind her every single day. And, he was really fussy about it. Like, you should probably do it yourself. How ungrateful are you? And then every single day, he either sent her a voice note or texted to her the countdown. And that was so fun to watch because Sangyeon's dreams are finally coming true. His birthday wish, essentially, is coming to life and he can't wait for it. So that countdown is not really for Wen Yifan, but for Sangyeon. But then there's a cave collapse near Bayu and Wen Yifan has to leave with her colleagues to cover it because she works at a news station. And she ends up missing Sangyeon's birthday. But then she makes it a point to call him up and wish him a happy birthday. And Sangyeon's like, you know what? My birthday is the next day now. So you better come back and celebrate it with me. But, obviously, rail tickets are all snatched up. So Sangyeon instead goes to Wen Yifan to celebrate his own birthday. And when I tell you, I literally got goosebumps. Because we have Wen Yifan sitting there reminiscing about what they used to be, where they used to eat when they were in high school. And, Sangyeon used to visit her every single week. And then, out of her imagination, Sangyeon steps into the restaurant and sits opposite to her. And it's like her dreams are coming true. She was just reminiscing about him. She was just reminiscing about them. And there he is, right in front of her. And I think that's what finally pushed Wen Yifan over the edge and made her confess that, you know what, today's the first day that we're together. Happy birthday, Sangyeon. And here's to the first day of our relationship. And when I tell you, it's probably the sweetest and the most perfect scene for the both of them because they're not loud, they're not public. All they care about is each other, especially Sangyeon. All Sangyeon cares about is Wen Yifan wishing him a happy birthday. All he cares about is Wen Yifan taking the first step and telling him that, you know what, Today is the first day. We are lovingly considering one each other, and both of them walking to the destination in one umbrella. And what was even better was the rain and the fact that they were together and once again. But this time, Sangyeon didn't walk away feeling devastated, and Wen Yifan didn't hesitate to take a step towards him. She did it. She finally confessed her feelings, and Sangyeon finally got what he wanted. It was that day in the rain, they both went home, but they were both devastated. But this time, they didn't leave each other. They walked together under the umbrella, and they both stayed together. And I think that's something that makes it even more precious, because Beiyou, in a way, was Wen Yifan's hell. That was probably the worst place for her to be in. And after surviving that place, getting out of there, but paying the price for it, and finally earning it back, earning her relationship back with Sangyeon in that same place, it's just precious and beautiful to watch. And it just feels like, how far they've come. Just from imagining what they could have been to actually becoming that version of themselves. They've really grown up. They've really come too far. And then we see them being together as a couple for the first time. It was so funny because after check-in, Wen Yifan tells him, my room is on the same floor, but Sangyeon's room is a little bit further. So he's like, it's a bit far in it. And he essentially guilt trips her into staying in his room because Wen Yifan is awkward, really awkward, and she doesn't know what to do with herself. That girl walks into the room and stays frozen. She didn't take off her jacket. She didn't even take off her bag. The entire time Wen Yifan is in the room, she's just sitting there like a mannequin, frozen up in one place. I watched that scene once again and I realized that, Wen Yifan walks into the bathroom to wash that apple. Wen Yifan eats that apple. Wen Yifan walks around the room. Wen Yifan eats pizza with Sangyeon, and at no point did she take off her jacket and her bag. And then you fast forwarded to when they actually go home. Wen Yifan, the first thing that she does is literally just melt onto the sofa. So you realize the difference between both of the scenes is, one is their relationship has been confirmed for a day and they've held hands, they've kissed, so they've essentially crossed that awkward stage to a point. And the first one is Wen Yifan confessing her feelings and being super awkward about it. A girl who's been living with Sangyeon for a good couple months now, and she was so awkward that she didn't even take off her jacket or her bag, and she's just sitting there awkward as hell. And Sangyeon realizes that when he asks her to look for his phone and sneaks in a kiss, and sort of makes it even more awkward for Wen Yifan because she doesn't know what to do with herself. Because this is her first relationship. This is essentially the first time that she's been in a male company where, the other guy has designs on her and she's reciprocating it because she doesn't know how to do it. And growing up in the environment that she's been in, she's probably never even seen a healthy relationship. So she's super awkward about it. She doesn't know what to do with herself. She doesn't know how to act around him. And Sangyeon notices that, and he slowly tries to ease her up. And the next morning when they walk out of the room, he sneakily holds her hand. When I tell you, I was blushing because after such a long time, they're finally holding hands as a couple. And neither of them needs to pull back because, it's official now. The hand holding has a title, has a stamp of approval from the both of them. And then, over the course of next few days, we see them sort of assimilate into this new relationship that they have as a couple and as roommates, and sort of work out the balance once again. And then, Wen Yifan giving Sangyeon the camel coat as a gift, and, that boy wearing it out with pride. I don't even know what to say because Sangyeon at no point felt embarrassed by anything that Wen Yifan gave to him. Because to him, it's only natural. My girlfriend gave it. Do you know who gave it? My girlfriend gave it. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wear it with pride. The same goes for the bracelets that she got him for Valentine's Day. Because Sangyeon is super picky about these things. He only wears black. And he styles himself super stylishly and, being all high and mighty. But then one gift from Wen Yifan, and he's like, what, girlie? I can carry it off. Just give it to me because, you're the one giving it to me. I'm so sorry if you're hearing noises in my background. My dog is sleeping and I don't want to wake her up. So if you hear noises, that's her snoring. Like right now. She's still snoring. Anyways, and then, Sangyeon's friend Shinfei is getting married and, there's the wedding banquet and Wen Yifan goes there wearing a dress. And she's not self-conscious about herself. She's happy and she proudly takes Sangyeon's hand and walks in as a couple. And then, we see Sangyan and Wen Yifan sit together with his college friends, and, Sangyan's called away. And Wen Yifan finally got to know Sangyan's side of the story. When they were about to graduate, Sangyan got really drunk and what he was mumbling about. And she finally got to know that the effect of her words on him, that he was okay being a backup, that being a backup is fine as long as you accept me. And all he wanted was Wen Yifan, and she literally drinks herself into oblivion. And then, we obviously see Sangyan balancing his very, very drunk girlfriend with four hands, juggling questions about how he doesn't have any girls added to his WeChat and how she's the only one for him. And, I really liked about how Sangyan, in his own way, made sure that he was a part of Wen Yifan's life. Even after she went to Yiha, he was silently following her around. Like, I admit, it was a little bit of stalkerish move from him, but to him, it was more of being satisfied that she was okay, that she was fine, she was happy in the life that she chose for herself, because he saw the conditions that she was living in Beirut, and he really wanted her to have that fresh start for herself, even though it probably would have broken his heart had she started dating somebody else. But to him, that was assurance that Wen Yifan is fine. She's happy and she's no longer sad. She's no longer being harassed. She's no longer going hungry. She no longer has to stay in that place. And unwittingly, he ended up being there for her in her most crucial moments, like when her mom visited her university or when she finally left her job in Yiha. The boy literally took his graduation photos and then ran to catch a train and go to Yiha just so he could be there for Wen Yifan's graduation, just so he could see her graduate and think, okay, she's fine now, she's happy now. And then, it became an addiction for him just to occasionally go and check in on Wen Yifan and see how she's doing. And on the other side, you have Wen Yifan, who, again, she has no idea what Sangyan has been doing all these years, but to her, she's listening to the second-hand account of how he was after she left. And to her, she's trying to paint a picture in her mind of what Sangyan was like in uni and trying to understand what that boy went through after she essentially tossed him out and left him out to dry. And that scene where Wen Yifan is sitting there at the Chin-Fei's wedding banquet and imagining Sangyan just being super drunk and mumbling, was it just a backup? Backup is fine. And I take it all back about the director and his weird angles. I take it all back. Because that scene, I was not expecting it. It blindsided me so badly, but it left such an impact on me, probably more than everything and anything, because Wen Yifan sitting there, she's still sitting across from him, she's still sitting on another table. So Wen Yifan is sitting on Sangyan's college friend's table and Sangyan is sitting on the other table right in front of her. He's been forced to drink in real time. And Wen Yifan, after hearing what Sangyan whispered to her, she is still in the same setting, so she's still sitting on another table. She's still facing Sangyan and Sangyan is still facing his friends. But over here, she's imagining him super drunk, being a college student and mumbling the line over and over again. Was it just a backup? Was it just a backup? And she's essentially transporting herself to her college days and just imagining what Sangyan would have gone through. Imagining that I wasn't the only one suffering. How my decision essentially left an impact on him. And as a viewer, I'm so grateful for that. Because they could have literally had a flashback of Sangyan on how Wen Yifan sitting right across from him, but no. They were still sitting in the same setting as they were in real time. Sangyan was still there on the table across from her. Wen Yifan was still there on another table. And, she drinks herself into oblivion. And we have this super cute scene of Sangyan essentially trying to handle Wen Yifan and taking off her makeup for her. I'm so happy to see that happen. Because more often than not, we have these drunk scenes where the girl is left to her own devices in the bathroom and, she stumbles back in her pajamas. And, do you know how hard it is to wash your face when you're completely drunk? It's not easy. Especially when you have eyelashes and tens of different things hanging from your hair and from your face, really. So Sangyan plucking out her eyelashes and then being super distressed when she makes a face. This is fake, right? This is fake. Comedy gold. Honestly, well deserved. Because these are the domestic moments that I die for. And then, that super lame joke. And Sangyeon essentially proving to us why he's a superior lover boy by squeezing himself into that settee, which looks super uncomfortable, super hard, and really not to his height. Like, his legs were probably hanging out the entire night, but he slept there because he was close to Wen Yifan and really he didn't want to leave her alone. And then, Wen Yifan obviously found Sangyeon in her sleepy drunkenness because he is her catnip, essentially. And, them falling asleep after they wake up, because before, when Wen Yifan sleepwalked to Sangyeon's bed and they woke up, Wen Yifan literally just said, you're sleeping. It's not real. It's a dream. You're still sleeping. And then when Sangyeon asked her, do you think I'm dumb? She said yes, and she just walked away. And it was super awkward. But over here, they woke up together and they fell back to sleep because, again, they have a relationship now. They can be together. And that awkwardness has been washed away. And then, we see them being in the same space, but not really sharing it because they're both super busy. And we get my second most favorite moment of the show, where we have Wen Yifan and Sangyeon in different places in the same house, communicating with each other, but not being really there in front of each other because they have schedules that overlap and they essentially keep missing each other. And they keep in touch, have you had food? What are you doing? Be safe out there. Don't overwork yourself. And it's so sweet because, yes, they're together, but they still have a life outside of a relationship, outside of the apartment. They still have responsibilities. They still have duties. And even though they haven't been together for so long, even though Sangyeon probably just wants to quit his job and stay at home full time so he can be with Wen Yifan, they still have to go out and work. They still have to be apart from each other. And then and Sangyeon comes back home, and Yifan has to go out because, her colleagues have contacted her. And then Sangyeon comes in and he hugs her, but there's this one microsecond of hesitation in the both of them before they finally literally hug each other so tightly. And he's like, oh, do you have to go? Wait, I'll walk you downstairs. I'll drop you where you have to go. And Yifan's like, no, take rest. And she walks away, and he's literally there pouting. And then the next morning, he literally hasn't slept. He's making food for her. And Wen Yifan really needed that. She really needed that comfort from Sangyeon. And Sangyeon really needed that assurance from Wen Yifan that, it's real. It's finally happening. And then by 22, I believe, that lecherous guy sort of starts to make a reappearance in Wen Yifan's life. And we see her going to the accident site and encountering that guy, super drunk, by the way. And, she was really startled to the point where when she was recording the voiceover for that piece, she literally recorded again and took her name out because she didn't want that person to know that she's working there. And then once again be involved in her life. And, that moment when Yifan really wanted to run, she wanted to hide. But then she went home and she saw Sangyeon cooking for her. And a sense of contentment settled over her, even though she hid it from him, even though she kept things from him. She was still happy that I have this one person on my side. I have this one person to go back home to. And so I saw some spoilers, and apparently Wen Yifan is going to run away, which really made me mad because that's not the Wen Yifan that you've been building up for such a long time. And that essentially made me avoid episode 23 and onwards because is it really that hard to stick to the original material for just once? Because I know I'm not telling you to make it verbatim, but at least stick to your characters the way they are and the way that you've built them. But we'll probably rant about it in a final review because I really wanted to talk about the relationship just once. Because we've seen these two people as kids. We've seen these two people get together the first time that they ever met each other. Well, I think that's the case for Wen Yifan. I'm not sure about Sangyeon. And we've seen these people go through this journey in their life where they got together and then they fell apart and then they got together once again. It's like fate has been trying to push them on one path. And then obviously there's Sangyeon, who's essentially self-inserting himself into Wen Yifan's life, making sure all roads lead to him. But then, we also have Wen Yifan, who's willingly walking that road, who's more than happy to be walking this journey towards him. And I think that's so precious because they've both been through so much. They've both matured. They've both understood that, their life weren't easy, especially Wen Yifan. For Sangyeon, that resentment towards her reduced after he finally found out about her life. And Wen Yifan finally let him in. She finally confessed to him that, when I was in Yihe, bad things happened with me and that's why I quit my job. And finally put her walls down, because this is something that Sangyan could have heard through a third party. But Wen Yifan herself telling these things to him sort of shows us that she's maturing in a relationship. She really wants to keep these things to herself, but she wants to share as well. She wants to let Sangyan know about why she left and what she's been through, because these things have shaped her into the person that she is today. And these are her battle scars. These are the things that she's survived. And Sangyan has given her the sense of security where she's talking about it to him herself without being prompted, without any pressure, without the hanging sword on her head of, I'll break up if you don't tell me. He just wants to be there for her. And I think that's what's talking about separately. And I think all of the episodes have been released for SVIP or something. Because Netflix is really behind on the airing schedule. I will probably be watching it on Yoku and sort of making a final impressions episode, because it is really precious to me despite me whining about the whole Run Away arc. And I do want to watch it till the end, because it's one of the few shows where I followed it diligently week by week. And I'm actually looking forward to the episodes. Because usually with Chinese dramas, I just give up after episode 15 to 16 and just wait for all the episodes to pile up, because I think the last 5 or 6 episodes usually just come out in one go. So rather than waiting for it, I just binge it. But with the first Ross, I really, really sat down and watched it every single day with excitement and happiness, and cursed Yoku when they skipped one day of airing. So it is a good drama and I am really enjoying it, and I'm really loving watching these two people grow together and become a couple, because Sangyan really deserves his first frost and Wen Yifan really deserves her Sangyan, and I really deserve my Sangyan too, but I don't know where he is. That's something for another time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. You can reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter. My handle is talk_about drama, and I will see you guys next time. Until then, I hope you guys have a good week. Ciao.